Josie.
And I'm Vanessa. Welcome to another episode of Up to Your Ears. Who do we have today, Josie?
We have Tierney Tough of the Pauses out of Orlando, Florida. About time we get some ladies on our show.
Bring on the ladies.
I know. She plays bass, so I'm excited. You know, I love a bass player.
Yes, of course, as our dear Josie plays bass as well. And I understand that you know Tierney personally. How do you know Miss Tierney?
Surprisingly, through music. Yeah, just through playing music. And I think we actually played a show together here in Austin during South by. It was the New Granada Records Showcase, and got a chance to see them a couple years ago. And we actually shared a show once in Orlando too when we were on tour. So I haven't seen them in a while. Obviously, we haven't seen anybody in a while, but they did just release a record or a split single with a band called The Good Life. And for those of you who don't know, The Good Life features Tim Kasher from Cursive. And my old band has played with The Good Life several times. But they did The Pauses and The Good Life did a split, and it was released this past Record Store Day, which is really cool. And they did Breeders covers, sort of celebrating 30 years of the Breeders. Can you believe it's been 30 years since the Breeders have come out? Isn't that insane?
I thought it was just last week. Tierney is here. Let's admit her to the meeting, and maybe she can fill us in a little bit more on her new release. Thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for asking.
Yeah, I was just telling Vanessa about the split that you did with The Good Life.
Yes.
And it looks like it's sold out.
I think so.
Happened really quick.
Yeah. Well, it was a one-time limited pressing, so we did 750, and I think the distributors for Record Store Day bought up like 600 or something, so that all went out to stores, and then each band got a few, so we have some in our stock to keep, and to also we're going to put online I think next month, so but it's not a lot. And then we brought in our friend Dan from Landland, who is an illustrator and runs the label Landland, and he did this beautiful packaging. It's inspired by Von Oliver's art, who did a lot of the 4AD album covers, and it's like so gorgeous. Like, it's crazy how much effort went into this little 7-inch. Yeah, I'm really happy with it. We did one of my all-time favorites, Off You, is like favorite Breeder song ever, and we kind of did a little twist, so we made it a little more, it's a slow song on the record titled TK, and we did like a rockin' version of it, so I was happy with how it came out.
Initially, Josie and I made up a questionnaire, and I did some silly questions, and then Josie did the serious questions. But apparently my questions are a little bit too silly.
That's okay.
Not everybody got my humor. So I revised my questions a little bit. And I tried to base them a little bit more on the artist personally, but also still try to elicit some humor into the situation, or maybe just get you to think. I don't know. First, I'd like to ask you, what was your favorite cartoon growing up?
Well, this is a big question, because this is going to give you, I'm going to give you a really short answer for what should be a very long answer. Basically, I grew up on Jim and the Holograms. That was like my world, and I am pretty sure that she has inspired my whole life path. I became a musician.
Would be proud.
Yeah, yes. I mean, I got to meet, see, I told you this is going to be very long. I got to meet the voice of Jim I made a special trip to go visit her because she was doing one of those like comic, you know, convention things. But anyway, so I'm pretty sure I play music because of Jim. I was so enthralled with this show, and going back now, it's such a fucking weird show. Like, it's so, the plot line is this, you know, this girl who's a secretary by day has this like alter ego rock star, you know, at night who is given advice by her dead father, who's a computer named Synergy. So it's just this like crazy plot, and you know, I don't know what I actually took in as a kid as far as like what the show was putting out, other than like the visuals, the pink, you know, like that is still a big part of my life. Everything is pink, you know, and it's like the show just heavily influenced everything. And you know, this thing I found out is the girl who sings all the songs, she was in is it Luna? Yeah. I love her voice so much.
Her voice is so great.
Yeah.
And I got to see Luna last year, the year before, here in Austin.
If you could have a genie do one chore for you for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Wow. I'm gonna have to say probably lawn work, you know, like yard work, like, even though that I think is kind of rewarding too, but it's like finding the motivation to get up and do something so, you know, intense. I think
depending on what your yard situation is, I guess.
I'm looking at it right now and I'm just like, yeah, I don't want to do that.
My next question has to do with some of your performances. I noticed that you employ some dramatic lighting in your stage setups. What inspired that, and do you do it all yourself?
That is actually my bandmate Jason Kupfer. He's kind of the lighting wizard. So all of that is pre-programmed. He put some effort and time into mapping out. So each instrument, so drums, vocals, guitar, bass, has its own light, designated light. And he spent some time mapping out MIDI-wise the lights syncing up to the beats that are performed.
It's awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, I think it came out really cool. You know, we tried different ideas. Like, we were originally going to have these light tubes coming out of our guitars that were kind of looking like, kind of grouped together with the instrument cables to look like, you know, this like light beam coming out. And then we tried that, and there was so much noise and feedback, and that didn't work. So then we got these globes, and then we put a light in the kick drum. So it's all like kind of mapped out to the song, and it's on rhythm. So that's all his world. He's kind of the mastermind behind the big dramatic or thematic lighting.
Well, I love it. Cool. It's really engaging.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, silly question.
Yay.
Your thoughts on bobbleheads. Do you think they're kitschy or trashy?
That's so funny, because I was actually looking at getting a bobblehead for my car. That's so funny. I think I want to say I saw it on a show. Okay, I just started watching Fargo. Have you guys seen Fargo?
The movie or the show?
The show. I've seen the movie, but the show. It's been out for a long time, and I think one of the cars, because it's done so well, like the cinematography is so good, I think it sold me a bobblehead, because there was one on the car, and it just, the way it was like shown, I was like, I gotta get a dog bobblehead for my car, because maybe there's like a subliminal. Maybe the show is like subliminally selling me stuff from, you know, whatever store. but it did a really good job. So that is funny that you said that.
Like, we have this storage unit full of bobbleheads. How can we somehow get people to buy these things?
Yeah, thanks for reminding me to get one.
My pleasure. If you could have one wild animal as a pet, what would it be and why?
Panda.
Ooh, that was quick.
Oh, yeah. Think about him all the time.
And what's the reason?
I just want to hug one.
Your thoughts on people who talk to plants?
I personally am okay with, I think as a musician, as a creative person or writer or whatever you are a part of that field, that's going to happen in your life, especially if you're singing, you know, because there's a lot of times where you have to test things out vocally, and you have to try, and it has to be like this awkward thing of like, probably an actor or an actress, you know, would probably talk to themselves a lot. So I think it's okay in general to do that. I don't think it's crazy. But I do think, in addition to that, I think it's okay to have a companion, you know, especially right now. And if your plants are your companions, then I think that's great.
That's a
I think
wonderful
it's
answer.
totally healthy. I think it gets weird once you start doing it outside of your house, you know.
You're making friends with all the neighborhood trees. Hello, Bob. How are you today?
Yeah, so I'm a weirdo because I feel really comfortable singing in my car because I know I'm like in this isolated space. No one else can hear me, you know, like I'm in an apartment, so I know people can kind of hear me. And it's always weird when someone like drives by and sees you like rocking out, you know, in your car. But fuck them, you know.
Yeah.
Who cares? If it makes you happy, then just do it, you know.
Yeah. I also think in the car, because I'm a car singer as well, but I feel like I can, for some reason, like hit those notes more easily in the car than I can on stage.
Okay.
Do you find that? Like, I don't know, there's something about it. Maybe
Well, you can hear yourself better, that's for sure.
Yeah, because it's a contained sound space.
Yep. Yeah. And you're not being, you know, overdone by loud guitars and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Those guitar players, they always
There's people honking and waving, right?
They all need to turn down a little bit.
Yeah.
Question is, what was your first concert that you ever went to?
Oh man, my parents actually told me this year that when I was little, they took me to see Tiny Tim.
Oh my gosh.
At like a county fair or something like that, and I don't remember that at all. I do remember them taking me to see Edgar Winter at Silver Springs, which is not far from where I am now. It was like another like outdoor fair type thing. I do remember that, and I remember being freaked out by him.
Because he's kind of freaky.
It's a little scary looking.
Yeah.
As a kid, yeah. Wizardy, yeah. That's the first one I remember. Yeah,
Wizard qualities for sure.
All right, question number 2. Okay. If you happen to find yourself on death row, what would your last meal be?
Oh, probably. I'm a big Italian lover, but I try to stay away from it because it's so heavy. So I'd probably have to say like gnocchi and like just like a big steak or something like that, and coffee.
And coffee to wash it all down.
Yeah.
That's so like good. 1950s dad. I'll have a cup of coffee.
Okay. Next question. Oh, this is a good one. I like this one. Have you ever been starstruck by another musician?
Oh yeah, of course.
What's
Um,
the most starstruck you've ever been?
and it has to be a musician.
Musician, yes.
Okay, yeah. I mean Bjork. I would have to say.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
To meet her? That's awesome.
Yeah, but it wasn't great. It was
She was
like
playing
Carnegie Hall, and it wasn't even her show. It was just like it was a tribute to Meredith Monk, the experimental vocalist. So there was her, DJ Spooky, John Zorn, all these people doing a tribute to Meredith Monk in this really small hall. It was probably just a couple hundred people. So she probably wasn't expecting like super fans to be there, you know. And then my friend and I just happened to see her out after the show, just in the, hallway. And I was like, she was talking to Matthew Barney at the time they were together. And I was just like, I got to go over there with my program. And I went over there, and I think I interrupted something. It was not good. Cause
no.
yeah, I remember I was like, I didn't know what to say. It's like, what do you say? But I didn't have time to think, because I was like, I just got to go do this.
Right.
Wasn't really thinking about it as a teenager, that this might be intruding, And I was like, hey, can you sign my program? And she looked at me and she huffed at me. And I was like, oh. And then I looked up at him, and he was like, oh shit. And then she took it, and then she grabbed it and was like, and then I walked away, and I was like, oh, that was like,
oh no,
traumatizing.
yeah.
I couldn't listen to her music afterwards. It was just like,
no,
I got over that. I was like, you know what? I justified. I was like, this is like her personal, she was probably, just hanging out with family, and like not expecting like people like that were not associated with them to be there.
Right.
So I was just like, I shouldn't have done that, but also she shouldn't have been so rude.
I know.
And you're right. You may have interrupted something. May have been in a tense conversation that you weren't aware of. So it could have really been not directed at you at all, but more just in her moment. But that's a question that we ask a lot of people. And I do feel like there are, because we've gotten kind of some mixed stories, and based on my own experiences, there are definitely people who take that as the highest compliment ever, how wonderful that somebody would even care to have my signature. And then there are people who feel like it's really quite bothersome, which is too bad, because, without your fans, there's nobody there to listen to your music or hear your sound or appreciate your contribution.
Especially someone who's bought every remix and like every thing you put out. But I mean, I also, I did some research too. I think it was after the time that someone tried to she had that like stalker, and like, she had lots of crazy fans. So I totally get the guardedness, and it made me think differently about approaching people, like anybody in that situation. So I think I learned a lesson, and I forgave her, and I still love her.
Good. Awesome.
But how many people can say they met Bjork and have her signature? It's like,
not
pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Really rad. Okay, Tierney, what is the strangest venue you've ever played?
Oh, wow. God, there's so many.
I know.
This is a hard question, because I feel like touring, one of the benefits of touring for me is the stories, that you accumulate of all the weird situations you get into.
Yes.
So I guess the first one that comes to mind is this place called the Nick in Birmingham. It's been around for a really long time. You can tell because they have, all the old posters and bands that have played there all throughout. It looks like it's like burned down millions of times. We got there. We were playing with this band called 5/8. who we love, and we played with a lot.
Athens, Georgia in the house.
Yep.
Love them. Yeah.
Yeah, and see, how did it start out? I think we got there and they were just like, yeah, sound guy's not here. And we're like, okay. It's like that feeling of like, as soon as you step into a room, you know it's going to go one way or the other, and you're just like, okay. After band members had started like trying to get sound going ourselves, showed up, and he was just out of his mind. He was like, walked over, like just like this, you know, walking to the mixing board and like,
oh brother,
starting to sound check and then like dozing off into the mixing board. And then we finally play, and he is dozing off during our set, and I see him because he didn't turn my mic back on, or no, my mic was on, but it was like you could barely hear anything. So I just like, we're playing a really slow song, and I just go, hey! I start yelling at him to wake the fuck up. And he did.
Good.
All the levels go up. He's like, what?
Yeah. So.
Oh my God.
That is
Last
just
question
one
for
of
me. What advice would you give your 15-year-old self?
I would say, I think confidence is a big thing for me right now. It's like, and has been for several years. I think just don't worry so much about like the outcome, you know, and just go for it. Just do it.
Yeah, that's great advice.
Try.
Yes, I like that advice. Well, that's all I have for those are all my questions. And thank you.
Thank you.
But we want to know what you have going on right now.
Currently writing our third album, and you know, for us, that's just like as long as it needs to be, that's how long it's going to be. So we're doing that. I recorded my first like real solo song recently, so that's something new for me, and I'm not sure what will be done with that, but I might continue to do more of that and see where that goes. I did 2 live streams in the last 2 months, which I never thought I would do ever.
Yeah,
and they're both really weird, but the first one I was just terrified to do. I did it with my friend John Vanderslice for Noise Pop, and it was really like scary and exciting at the same time. And it was one of those things like I probably wouldn't have done it if he didn't ask me. So I was glad that he did, because it was just a good thing to try.
What was the second one you did?
Oh, I did a second. The second one I did was just a couple days ago. It was a local Orlando thing for this group called the Swamp Sisters, and they're out of New Orleans. So it's just kind of like not a benefit, but an organization to help empower women and promote what they're doing. So that was really fun too, and I was a lot less anxious for that one, so that was good. But I just don't know if that's something I can get used to, and I know that this is something that is going to be used for a long time, but I'm kind of trying to figure out if that's something I can accept, you know. But my point is, like, I don't think these live streams are going away. I think this is what's going to be the new normal, and I don't know, like, if it's something I want to continue, but I appreciate that it's there. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, Tierney.
Yes, thank you so much. I loved chatting with you, and your answers were great.
Thanks for having me.
We'll see you soon, Tierney. Bye.
Bye.
Amazing, and if you haven't heard the pauses, you should definitely check them out. I'm Josie.
And I'm Vanessa. This has been Up to Your Ears.
It sounds good.